The funeral home was supposed to be a sanctuary, a place where I could mourn my husband Daniel in peace, surrounded by the soft music he loved and the white roses I'd special ordered because they reminded me of our wedding day. Instead, I found myself staring into the lens of my cousin Vanessa's phone as she narrated my grief to her Instagram followers like some twisted nature documentary. "And here we have the grieving widow," Vanessa stage whispered, her voice dripping with fake sympathy as she zoomed in on my tear-stained face. "Look at those crocodile tears, everyone. She's really putting on a show." I'm Sophia Harrison, 31 years old, and I was burying the love of my life while my cousin turned it into content for her social media channels. Daniel had died suddenly 5 days ago, a brain aneurysm that took him from me in seconds. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. "Vanessa, please," I whispered, my voice hoarse from crying. "Not today." She laughed, actually laughed, at my husband's funeral. "Oh, she speaks. Everyone, say hi to Sophia. Or should we call her the pretend widow? We all know Daniel was planning to leave her." My hand shook as I gripped the pew. Around us, other mourners shifted uncomfortably. Daniel's colleagues from the architectural firm, our neighbors, his basketball buddies, all watching this spectacle unfold. "Tell them about the divorce papers, Sophia," Vanessa continued, waving her phone like a weapon. "Tell them how you trapped him with your fake pregnancy scare. Tell them how he was going to run away with." Stop. The word came out stronger than I felt. "Security, please remove her." But Vanessa just got louder, projecting for her audience. "Security, she's calling security on family. This is what she does. People, pushes away anyone who tells the truth. Poor Daniel never had a chance." The funeral director approached, but Vanessa sidestepped him, her phone still rolling. The viewer count on her screen showed 3,000 and climbing. Comments flooded in, hearts and laugh emojis dancing across my husband's funeral. "You want to know the truth?" Vanessa announced. "Daniel told me everything at Christmas, how she controlled the money, how she wouldn't let him see his friends, how she—" "Ma'am." A deep voice cut through her monologue. Behind Vanessa stood a man in an impeccable charcoal suit, his expression professionally neutral. I recognized him, Robert Winters, from the law firm handling Daniel's estate. Vanessa spun around, phone still recording. "Who are you? Another one of her paid actors?" "Robert Winters, senior partner at Winters Associates." He handed her a business card with one hand while pulling out his own phone with the other. "I represent Mrs. Harrison and the estate of Daniel Harrison. You're currently being recorded committing defamation, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress at a funeral service." "I have free speech," Vanessa sputtered. "You have the right to speak, Mr. Winters agreed calmly, "and you'll have the right to defend that speech in court, particularly your false statements about divorce papers that don't exist, a pregnancy that was very real and tragically lost, and your claims about Mrs. Harrison's character that are demonstrably false." Vanessa's phone wavered. "You can't prove." "I can prove that Mr. Harrison updated his will 2 weeks ago to ensure, and I quote, my beloved wife Sophia receives everything, as she deserves nothing less than all my love even after I'm gone." He glanced at his phone. "I can also prove that you've been harassing Mrs. Harrison for years, stemming from a family dispute over inheritance." My heart stopped. "What inheritance?" Mr. Winters turned to me with a gentle expression. "I apologize, Mrs. Harrison. This wasn't how I planned to inform you. Your late grandfather, William Chen, left a sealed addendum to his will with instructions to be opened only upon certain conditions. Your husband's passing, tragically, met those conditions." Vanessa had gone pale. "That's impossible. Grandpa left everything to his grandchildren." "Yes, but with specific provisions." Mr. Winters pulled out a document. "In the event that any beneficiary publicly humiliates, harasses, or attempts to harm another beneficiary, their share is forfeit to the victim. Your Livestream, Ms. Chen, just forfeited your entire inheritance to Mrs. Harrison." The phone slipped from Vanessa's fingers, clattering on the funeral home floor. She was still live. I could see the comment explosion from where I sat. "No," she whispered. "No, that was supposed to be mine. The portfolio, the properties, all of it. All of it now belongs to your cousin, Mr. Winters confirmed, whom you just broadcast to." He checked her phone. 12,000 viewers as a fraud and a liar, at her husband's funeral, while she's grieving a very real loss. I stood up slowly, my legs unsteady. "Vanessa, why do you hate me so much?" Her face contorted with rage. "Because you got everything. Grandpa's attention, Daniel's love, everyone always choosing perfect Sophia. And now you should leave." Mr. Winters interrupted, before I add criminal trespassing to the civil charges. But Vanessa wasn't done. She lunged for her phone, still broadcasting, and turned the camera back on me. She planned this. She knew about the will. She probably killed Daniel too. The slap echoed through the funeral home. Not from me, from Daniel's mother, Margaret, who had approached silently from behind. How dare you? Margaret hissed, her usual composure shattered. How dare you accuse my daughter-in-law of hurting my son? She loved him more than life itself. We all saw it. Every day for 8 years. We watched them love each other in a way that made the rest of us believe in soulmates again. She turned to the phone, still streaming. You want the truth about Sophia? She held my son's hand through 3 months of physical therapy after his car accident. She sold her own car to help pay for his MBA. She lost their baby last year and blamed herself, even though the doctors said there was nothing she could have done. And when Daniel forgot their anniversary because of a work deadline, she showed up at his office with dinner for his entire team. Margaret's voice broke. She loved him, and he loved her, and if you can't see that, then you're not just cruel, you're blind. The funeral home had gone completely silent except for the sound of Margaret's quiet sobs. I reached for her, and she pulled me into a fierce hug. I'm so sorry, sweetheart, she whispered, so sorry you have to deal with this today. When I looked back, Vanessa was being escorted out by security, her phone finally dark, but the damage was done. The livestream had been seen by thousands, clips were already being shared, and my private grief had become public entertainment. Mr. Winters approached carefully. Mrs. Harrison, I know this is overwhelming, but there are some urgent matters regarding the inheritance. Your grandfather's portfolio is substantial. How substantial? I asked numbly. Approximately $85 million in diversified investments, plus several properties, including a vineyard in Napa and a brownstone in Manhattan. The room spun. I sat down hard on the pew. Grandpa was rich? He was very private about his wealth, Mr. Winters explained. He built his fortune quietly through decades of smart investments. He was also, it seems, deeply concerned about how money might corrupt family relationships. I laughed bitterly. He was right about that. The livestream documentation will make our case ironclad, he continued. Your cousin broadcasted her own violations of the will's morality clause. She won't be able to contest it. I don't care about the money, I said honestly. I just want to bury my husband in peace. But peace was not to be. By the time we reached the cemetery, clips of Vanessa's livestream had gone viral. #funeral drama was trending. My phone buzzed incessantly with calls from reporters, distant relatives, and strangers who'd found my social media accounts. As they lowered Daniel's casket into the ground, I turned off my phone and let myself really cry, not pretty tears for cameras, but the ugly, body-shaking sobs of real loss. Margaret and Daniel's father, Richard, stood on either side of me like guardians, while our real friends formed a protective circle around us. Daniel Jonathan Harrison was a light in this world, the pastor said. He loved deeply, laughed freely, and left us far too soon, but his greatest accomplishment, he often said, was convincing Sophia Chen to marry him. A laugh bubbled up through my tears. Daniel had said that, frequently, usually followed by waggling his eyebrows and asking if I wanted to make out like teenagers. After the burial, as people began to drift away, Mr. Winters approached again. I'm sorry to intrude, but there's something else, a letter from your grandfather, to be given to you specifically under these circumstances. I took the envelope with shaking hands. Inside, my grandfather's careful script. My dearest Sophia. If you're reading this, then I'm gone, and something has happened to trigger the inheritance clause. I suspect I know who and how. Family jealousy is a poison I've watched spread through our tree for too long. You were always different, quiet where others were loud, kind where others were cruel. You visited me not for what I might leave you, but because you actually wanted to hear my stories. You brought that nice young man, Daniel, to play chess with me. You never once asked about money. The others did, constantly, calculating their inheritance while I was still breathing. Vanessa was the worst, sweet to my face but vicious about you behind closed doors. She couldn't understand why I enjoyed your company more than hers. The answer was simple. You saw me as a grandfather, not a bank account. I've left you everything not as favoritism, but as justice. Use it well, live freely, and don't let the vultures make you feel guilty for receiving what you never asked for. All my love. Grandpa William. P.S. That Daniel of yours is a good egg, terrible at chess, but good for you. Take care of each other. I was crying again, but differently now. Grandpa had seen everything, had protected me even from beyond the grave. "There's one more thing, Mr. Winters said gently. Your husband left something with me last week. He said if anything ever happened to him, I should give this to you." It was a small jewelry box. Inside, a delicate gold necklace with a compass pendant. The inscription on the back read, "So you can always find your way back to happy, D." "He came to update his will after your grandfather passed," Mr. Winters explained. "Said he wanted to make sure you were protected. He also said," the lawyer paused, clearly emotional himself. "He said you'd been sad since losing the baby, and he was planning a surprise renewal of your vows in Hawaii. He thought it might help you both heal." I clutched the necklace, Daniel's last gift, and looked around the cemetery. Vanessa was gone, but her ghost lingered in the form of viral videos and trending hashtags. My private pain had become public property. But I wasn't alone. Margaret and Richard stood nearby, talking quietly with Daniel's siblings. Our friends, real friends, not social media followers, waited patiently to drive me home. And somewhere, my grandfather and husband were maybe playing that eternal chess game Grandpa had always threatened to win in the afterlife. The money would come with complications. I already knew that. More relatives would crawl out of the woodwork. More Vanessas would appear with their hands out and their phones ready. But I also knew what Daniel would say. "Soph, we can't control what others do. We can only control how we respond." So I responded by living. I used part of the inheritance to establish the Daniel Harrison Memorial Fund at the Children's Hospital where I worked as a pediatric nurse. Another portion went to brain aneurysm research. The brownstone became transitional housing for families with children in long-term medical care. The vineyard I kept. Daniel had always dreamed of learning winemaking. Vanessa tried to sue, of course, multiple times. Each lawsuit failed more spectacularly than the last. Her livestream had documented her own cruelty so thoroughly that judges dismissed her cases with prejudice. The last I heard, she was selling essential oils to her dwindling follower count, still bitter about the unfairness of consequences. But the real poetic justice came a year later. I was at the vineyard, learning about soil acidity from the vintner, when my phone buzzed. A video link from Margaret with the message, "You need to see this, sweetheart." It was a news segment about social media influencers facing lawsuits for defamation, and there was Vanessa, being interviewed about her cancellation. "I was just telling my truth," she whined to the reporter, "but apparently, you can't even livestream family events anymore without someone getting offended." The reporter raised an eyebrow. "The family event was a funeral. Were you accused a widow of murder while she was burying her husband?" "Alleged widow," Vanessa corrected. "I mean, we never saw a body." The reporter's jaw dropped. "It was an open casket funeral," the livestream showed. "Editing," Vanessa insisted. "Deep fakes, crisis actors. The whole thing was staged so she could steal my inheritance." The segment cut to legal expert commentary. "This is what happens when social media narcissism meets real-world consequences." Ms. Chen livestreamed herself committing multiple crimes, created permanent evidence of her defamation, and now wants sympathy for facing the results. It's a cautionary tale for the Instagram age. I turned off the video and looked out at the vineyard, rows and rows of vines that would someday produce wine Daniel would never taste. But there was peace here, finally. The vines didn't care about viral videos or trending hashtags. They just grew, season after season, turning sunshine and soil into something beautiful. My phone rang. "Mr. Winters. Sophia, I wanted to let you know that Vanessa's latest appeal has been denied. Also, the foundation has received a rather substantial anonymous donation with a note saying, 'For Daniel,' from someone who wishes they'd been kinder. The handwriting looks familiar." I smiled. "Let me guess, one of the relatives who piled on during the live stream? It seems your cousin's public cruelty had an unexpected effect. It made others examine their own behavior. Sometimes shame can be instructive." After we hung up, I walked through the vineyard to the small memorial I'd created for Daniel, a bench under an oak tree where we'd shared a picnic on our last visit here together. I wore the compass necklace every day, and true to his promise, it helped me find my way back to happy. Not the same happy, that was gone forever, but a new kind, quieter and deeper. "You'd laugh at all this," I told the tree, the sky, the Daniel-shaped hole in the universe. "Your nutjob cousin-in-law going viral for being terrible. Me, suddenly rich and trying to figure out how to help people with money I never expected. Your mom taking up kickboxing because," and I quote, "I need to be ready if anyone else disrespects my daughter-in-law." The wind rustled through the oak leaves, and for just a moment, I could almost hear his laugh. Vanessa had been wrong about everything, but most wrong about this. Daniel had loved me, Completely, messily, beautifully, no amount of live-streamed lies could change that truth. And Grandpa had been right, the best revenge against people who see you as less than human is to live so fully, so generously, so authentically that their bitterness becomes its own prison while your kindness sets you free. The compass around my neck caught the light as I headed back to the house. North pointed toward the future, uncertain but no longer unnavigable. Daniel had made sure of that. Even in leaving, he'd shown me the way forward. Back at the house, I found a package on the doorstep. No return address, but I recognized Vanessa's handwriting. Inside, a letter. Sophia. I know you'll probably throw this away, but I need to say this. I'm sorry, not for your money or because my life is ruined, but genuinely sorry. I let jealousy poison me until I became someone who could livestream a funeral for clicks. That's not who I wanted to be. I'm in therapy now. Real therapy, not Instagram therapy. My therapist made me watch the livestream as part of treatment. I couldn't get through it. Seeing myself through clear eyes. I'm disgusted. I know I can't undo what I did, but I wanted you to know that I'm trying to become better. Someone who wouldn't do that. Someone Grandpa wouldn't be ashamed of. I'm sorry about Daniel. He was a good man who loved you completely. Anyone could see it. Everyone could see it. Everyone but me. V. I sat on the porch, reading and rereading the letter. Then I did what Daniel would have done. I chose grace. Not reconciliation, not forgetting, but the simple grace of believing people could change. I wrote back. Vanessa. Thank you for the apology. I hope therapy helps you find peace. Live well. Sophia. That night, I dreamed of Daniel for the first time since the funeral. We were in the vineyard. Older, grayer, laughing about something. When I woke, the grief was there but softer somehow, loss with love mixed in, like soil enriching the vines. Vanessa never contacted me again, but I heard through family that she'd deleted her social media, gone back to school, become a grief counselor. Sometimes our worst moments can redirect us toward our best selves. Sometimes it takes losing everything to find out who we really are. And sometimes, a grandfather's wisdom and a husband's love can protect us even after they're gone, leaving us rich in ways that have nothing to do with money and everything to do with knowing we were truly, deeply, unconditionally loved. The compass still points north. I still find my way back to happy, and somewhere in the vineyard, new life grows from old roots, proving that even after the hardest winters, spring comes again. Just different, but still beautiful. Still worth living for.